Dr. Nigel, Marvin,
My dear doctor,
Suzanne,
welcome to
Prehistoric Park.
I don't believe it.
So before I start this video, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's been watching over the past few weeks. I've had a lot of encouraging feedback and I've gained quite a few new subscribers, so thank you. We start the episode off with the usual recap of the park, before being told this.
But according to Nigel, there's still room for one more huge reptile.
How do you estimate that? Does that mean he's now only allowed to go back for smaller things? Do all large reptiles need the same amount of room? What counts as a large reptile? How do mammals fit into this? So Bob's feeding the crocodiles and Nigel turns up with the reconstructed cast of a Deinosuchus skull. So the size is exaggerated here, with estimates between 40 and 50 feet. A real full-grown Deinosuchus would have probably been about 10 metres long, with 6 to 8 metres being more common, a similar range to the really enormous Nile and saltwater crocodiles. The title of largest crocodilian is debatable, depending on what you consider to be a crocodile, and if you discount Sarcosuchus and Stomatosuchus for being mere crocodilomorphs, there are a bunch of Miocene crocs which are also vying for the title. So then Nigel goes straight back to the late Cretaceous. However, this isn't the Maastrichtian like in episode 1, but instead the earlier Campanian. Surprisingly, Campanian North America is rarely featured in documentaries, although Dinosaur Planet did give it some due attention. There was a much greater abundance of dinosaur species at this time compared with the Maastrichtian. However, the Maastrichtian is more popular because it contains dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops. Nigel soon meets one of the Campanian dinosaurs, Parasaurolophus. So it is one of the better dinosaurs in the series, but it still looks overly shrink-wrapped and the wrists are still broken. However, the hadrosaurs spot a pair of Albertosaurus and run off. Nigel drives his jeep away. The Albertosaurs share much the same issues as the Tyrannosaurs: lack of feathers, broken wrists, shrink-wrapping. They also share exaggerated speed.
Over 38 miles per hour.
As their name suggests, Albertosaurus was from Alberta, so who knows what they're doing in Texas.
Struggling to keep up.
Back at the park, Bob is planting trees for the Titanosaurs. Meanwhile, Suzanne is caring for the newly born Smilodon cubs, as their mother cannot produce enough milk for them.
It's really demanding hand-rearing these cubs.
Well, surely someone else could help you rear them in shifts. Back in the Campanian, Nigel finds a herd of Parasaurolophus and tries to communicate using a shell.
The distinctive.
Today we know that Parasaurolophus actually sounded like this. So Nigel decides to do what he did in Chased by Dinosaurs when he couldn't find a giant reptile, which is take to the air in a microlight. He watches the Nyctosaurus skim feeding, and then watches as the Deinosuchus, fueled by the rage of 100 pterosaur workers, straight up Jurassic Worlds the Nyctosaurus from the ocean. We know that Deinosuchus did indeed swim the oceans, and we have found them on both coasts of the Western Interior Seaway, so while they did stick to the coasts and estuaries, they likely frequently went hunting in the open ocean. Their primary food in the diet was actually sea turtles, but we never see one snack on one of those in this documentary. Back at the park, Martha gets rejected by the elephant herd, despite no prior indication that she was an outsider in previous episodes. Moving on. Nigel paddles up the creek where he saw a Deinosuchus from the air. He gets attacked by one and suddenly gains shoes. At the end of the creek he finds a freshwater lake where he explains that because they're specialist needs they will become extinct soon when habitats change. That is the big catastrophe he has to save them from, so no rush then. In appearance they are depicted like big alligators, though in real life they had large rounded osteoderms on their backs. The Parasaurolophus turn up and the Deinosuchus kill one. Deinosuchus is known to have hunted dinosaurs, just not as often as they hunted sea turtles. Back at the park, Bob is filling in holes under the terror bird's fence with rocks. He plans to rebuild the fence with deep foundations, but he hasn't found an excuse to do so yet. Back in the Cretaceous, Nigel is planning how to catch the Deinosuchus using a trap built from posts. He needs to get meat as bait, so he has to go through the forest to the jeep, rather than teleporting using time portals. He meets a Troodon and then finds a group eating the meat, so does another Chased by Dinosaurs thing and chases them off with a horn. Back at the park, Bob is clearing up some elasmotherium dung rather than getting some intern to do it for him. Like, how hard is it to get more staff? Plenty of people do this job for free just to see prehistoric animals. The terror bird escapes and Bob calls in some guys to recapture it using meat as bait. Back in the past, Nigel baits the trap, but what do you know, more Troodon turn up and steal most of the meat. Oh well, surely you could nip back to the present and get some more. That morning, the Deinosuchus fight the Albertosaurus off the Parasaurolophus carcass. Back at the park, Martha is still lonely. Back in Texas, Nigel decides to do yet another chase by dinosaurs thing and baits the Deinosuchus out by hitting the water with a paddle. The Deinosuchus chases him into the trap and they wear it out. Nigel ties the wooden stakes by the croc's head to the jeep and drives through the portal with the Deinosuchus following. So all that remains now is for Bob to clear everything up. However, a Troodon snuck into the jeep after the last scrap of meat and it causes Bob to startle the Titanosaurs. The Titanosaurs then break down every fence, setting all the animals free, including Matilda. So now we have a Jurassic Park sequence. Matilda goes after the elephant, but Martha tells her to get lost, so then she goes after Nigel.
It may have seemed like a good idea at the time, but now Nigel is in serious trouble.
Okay, it doesn't end there. Nigel runs past the Deinosuchus, which leaves out the water, slowing down Matilda. He then manages to trap her in one of the holding pens.
Got you, Matilda.
So everything gets fixed. Martha gets accepted by the herd for saving the baby elephant, the Smilodon cubs can eat meat now, and Bob catches the Troodon. So that was episode 6. Unlike the others, there was no real time limit, nothing was dying, and there was no incoming catastrophe. I'm really glad that they ended the episode with all the loose ends tied up. Well, all except one.
At least until Nigel's next adventure.
And unfortunately that next adventure never came, possibly because ITV then ran Primeval and that was more successful both critically and in viewership. Still, I consider Prehistoric Park to be one of the most enjoyable television series ever made. It was educational at the same time as entertaining, and it had a good sense of optimism. It's a shame that there is nothing really like it around today, the most similar things to it being its predecessors chased by dinosaurs and sea monsters. Maybe one day it will receive a sequel series, or more likely a reboot due to the inaccuracies. And now, as a little homage to Prehistoric Park, I've put together a little montage. Take it away, Weird Al.
Prehistoric Park.
It's frightening in the dark. All the
Dinosaurs.
are running wild. Someone let
Matilda.
out of his pen. I'm afraid those things will harm me, 'cause they sure don't act like Barney, and they think that I'm their dinner, not their friend. Oh no!
Prehistoric Park.
It's frightening in the dark. All the
Dinosaurs.
are running